Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my starting 11 prediction for our game against AC Milan in the Europa League round of 16 second leg at the San Siro. So in goal, I'm going to go with Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson has been in goal in recent games and he has done well, and I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number one goalkeeper. You know, he has got that experience behind him. He did endure 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. Don't forget, before the start of this season, Dean Henderson signed a 6-year contract with the club. Dean Henderson was obviously in goal for the first leg against AC Milan at Old Trafford. Should have definitely saved AC Milan's equaliser in injury time because he got a hand to it. David De Gea, he's obviously now back in Manchester. He's been self-isolating. Not so long ago, De Gea was out due to personal reasons. You know, it could be De Gea in goal for this game against Milan, but I think we will stick with Dean Henderson. Now at right back, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka has done well in some games this season, where he's actually showed some good attacking intent. He's got into good crossing positions, and defensively he's been superb. But he's had some poor games as Wan-Bissaka where he's been caught out too many times and he's lacked that attacking intent. We got Wan-Bissaka in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. And didn't enjoy a great game against West Ham recently. The 2 centre-halves, I'm going to go with Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire. I've been very, very impressed with Eric Bailly in the games he's been involved in this season. You know, Eric Bailly intercepts the ball well. He shows the ability to play out from the back, and he's very effective in the air. My only element of concern about Bailly is too injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. Solskjaer not so long ago confirmed that we was in talks with Eric Bailly over a new contract. It says we're willing to offer him a new 3-year contract. Bailly is into the final 15 months of his current contract. So yeah, I think he'll come in for Lindelof, because obviously it was Lindelof alongside Maguire against West Ham. Harry Maguire, I thought he put a very, very good performance out against West Ham. You know, defensively, he was good. Made some good clearances. Also made some good blocks. Harry Maguire missed an absolute sitter in the first leg against Milan. He hit the post from a yard out. It's probably the worst miss I've seen in football history, but he made up for that bad miss because he put up a good performance out against West Ham. He's had good games and he's also had bad games, but Harry Maguire wasn't worth the £80 million we got him for. He is the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment, and he's the second most expensive signing at the club. Now at left back, I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's been our player of the season by far. And I thought Luke Shaw was immense against West Ham. You know, Luke Shaw shows very good attacking intent. He creates chances for his teammates. His crossings got better. He provides width, and defensively he's been superb. Shaw's had a good career at Man United apart from his injuries. He's been at the club over 6 years. He still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles. Because when we got Alex Telles, we expected him to be our first choice left back. Telles has played nowhere near as much as I expected. Telles has done well in some of the games he's been involved in. He can get forward well, but I think Luke Shaw gets forward much better than Alex Telles does. Now, the midfield, I'm going to go with Fred and Scott McTominay. Fred, I think aspects of his game have improved. You know, when Fred plays well, he can get forward well. He can get into good positions. He can break up the play well. But Fred's also enjoyed some poor games. I don't think he was good against West Ham recently. Fred is not at that level as we want him to be at as yet. You know, can he emulate to that level? I've got to say, during Fred's time in Ukraine, he was a world-class player. We got him in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. Scott McTominay. Now, he's a decent player. You know, he's enjoyed very good games this season. I think his best game by far was the 6-2 win against Leeds. Because he scored twice in that game and he also got an assist. And I thought he did well against Watford in the FA Cup third round. Did well in the 9-0 win against Southampton and that. McTominay's not at the level as I want him to be at as yet, but can he emulate to that level? You know, McTominay's still young, he's got a lot of development in him and he's been part of the club for several years. Just after the first lockdown, McTominay signed a 5-year contract with Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future with the club. And ahead of Fred and McTominay, I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandes. I think at some point Bruno Fernandes does need a rest, but we won't rest him for this game. I don't think Bruno Fernandes was too good against West Ham. I thought he got dispossessed quite a few times, gave the ball away cheaply. But he did actually look dangerous when he had the ball. In most of Bruno Fernandes' games at Man United, he has been very, very consistent. But there has been a few games where he's looked off the pace and he's looked leggy. Bruno Fernandes is refusing to sign a new contract until he has assurances over the club's transfer plans. He says we are willing to double his wages to £200,000 a week. Bruno Fernandes' current contract expires in 2025. There's an option to extend for a further 12 months. We initially paid £47 million for him in January of last year, but the overall cost with add-ons is just over £67 million. But he is our best player and he's the best signing we've made since Ferguson. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford obviously played against West Ham. He's just come back from an ankle injury. He sustained that ankle injury in our 2-0 win against Man City. Rashford did quite well against West Ham. You know, he did actually have a very, very good chance and it was a lovely cross from Greenwood, but Rashford's head didn't connect with the ball. We need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide on the left because that's where he's more effective. Sometimes we play Rashford on the right and sometimes we play him centrally. On the right hand side, I'm going to go with Mason Greenwood. I've been very, very impressed with Mason Greenwood since he broke into our first team squad. You know, Greenwood has been a United player since the age of 7. He made his senior debut in 2019. He's gone on to make 80-odd first-team appearances. Earlier on this season, Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract with Man United. Solskjaer has been defending him a lot this season. Earlier on this season, Mason Greenwood was in and out of the team, so didn't really have much of a perception on him. And he played against West Ham recently. I thought he put a very good performance out. He had 2 very good chances, and obviously both chances hit the woodwork. And up top, I'm going to go with Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial has recently been out with a hip injury but could be back for this game. We may go with Cavani instead, but I think we'll go with Martial. Martial sustained this hip injury in the first leg against AC Milan. He had an injury just before that. Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season, so he has been criticised, but Solskjaer said earlier on this season he's backing Martial to rediscover his form. And he said he's been impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate. Martial, was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. So that's how I think we could line up against AC Milan in the second leg. Now, Solskjaer did say after our 1-0 win against West Ham that 5 injured players could return for this game. So that's obviously Anthony Martial, Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek's been out with a muscle injury. Now, I give you the news on Donny van de Beek on my recent video. Donny van de Beek wants showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future. Donny van de Beek wants to quit Man United after 1 season due to lack of game time. Most of Donny van de Beek's appearances when he's played have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the Premier League this season, and I think he's missed our last 7 with this injury he's got. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Donny van de Beek is unhappy at the club because of his lack of game time, but earlier on this season Solskjaer promised him more game time. ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Donny van de Beek because we was reluctant to let him go, and Ronald de Boer actually urged Van de Beek to leave to boost his chances for the Euros. We got Van de Beek from Ajax last summer. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. Van de Beek's got a contract with the club till 2025, and he is versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. You can put him as a box-to-box midfielder. That was his predominant position at Ajax. You can put him as a number 10, and you can put him out wide. But like I said, we need to use him more because he is a good player. Paul Pogba, he could be back, which is good news from Man United perspective because Paul Pogba has been a big miss. Pogba has been out with a thigh injury. The last game Paul Pogba played was the 3-3 draw with Everton. But we do lack creativity in that midfield without him, and we are too defensive. Earlier on this season, Pogba had an ankle injury and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he sustained a few injuries now at Man United, but we was getting the best out of Paul Pogba before he sustained this thigh injury. De Gea, like I said, he also could be back. Edison Cavani could be back as well. Cavani has been out with injury. And he's been a big miss because Cavani's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Obviously, Juan Mata's still out with injury, but he doesn't get in our 11 anyway. And Phil Jones is still out with injury. You know, Phil Jones has been out with injury for over a year. But it will be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approaches this game. You know, we're coming into this game on the back of a 1-0 win against West Ham. You know, that was back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Man United, and reflecting on the win, that assures us a top 4 finish. It wasn't the best of games against West Ham. You know, obviously the goal came from an own goal from Craig Dawson. But, you know, West Ham have been in form. Surprisingly, Solskjaer didn't make a substitution against West Ham. I can't remember the last time we went a game without making a substitution. Was it back in 2012? AC Milan have the upper hand going into this second leg because they've got that vital away goal. Now, the first leg was a very average performance by Manchester United. You know, for large periods of the first leg, AC Milan totally dominated. You know, they had good chances. They had 2 goals that were disallowed. The only positive from Man United perspective in the first leg was Amad Diallo Traore coming on and scoring his first goal for the club. It was a good header by Amad Diallo Traore, and it was a lovely through ball by Bruno Fernandes. And I've also got to point out as well that Solskjaer's substitutions were clueless against AC Milan in the first leg. You know, we had quite a few players out in the first leg. AC Milan, though, they had quite a few injuries. Some of the players there were missing in the first leg have now recovered from injury. You know, I think Theo Hernandez has come back for them. Beek has come back from injury. Kalahanglu, he's also another one that's come back from injury. But they've still got some injuries now of AC Milan. You know, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is still out injured. I don't know if he's going to be playing in this second leg. It would be good to see him reunite with Man United. You know, we had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, didn't we, under Mourinho. But he sustained a bad injury with us, so that's what ruined his career at Man United. Ben Acer, you know, he's one of AC Milan's key players. He's still out with injury. Mandzukic, he's still out with injury. Roman Agnoli, he's recently got injured. Melindia, he's also out with injury. So there is a few. AC Milan's current manager is Stefano Pioli. He's been AC Milan manager since October 2019. AC Milan are sitting second in the Serie A. They recently lost 1-0 to Napoli. We have played AC Milan now on 11 occasions. Obviously, there's been 5 wins apiece so far, and there's been 1 draw. Diego Dalot plays for AC Milan. He's on loan at Milan from us, and obviously he'll be able to play. But the Europa League is definitely a priority for Man United. It is a chance for us getting some silverware on the board. We got to the Europa League semis last season, lost 2-1 to Sevilla. And we won the Europa League back in 2017 under Mourinho. We beat Ajax in the final 2-0. So yeah, this is a must-win game for Man United. You know, we've got Leicester at the weekend in the FA Cup quarter-final. As you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year. Sources at Old Trafford have said that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because later on this month Solskjaer enters the final year of his 3-year contract. So yeah, he's being given a pay rise. I think Solskjaer does deserve a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made. But earlier on this season, it said that Solskjaer's future was in doubt because he admitted that nobody had spoke to him over a new contract. Like I've said in regards to Solskjaer so many times, I don't think he is the long-term manager for Man United, but I think he does deserve at least another season at the football club. This is his second full season at the moment. I think now there's a good chance that Solskjaer will get the backing he deserves in the summer transfer window, because obviously we've got John Murtaugh as our new director of football. He's our first ever director of football. And I said, you know, we need a director of football because I said it's one of the structural changes we need at the club. And John Murtaugh knows the club inside out because he's been at Man United for 7 or 8 years now. And plus Darren Fletcher is our technical director and he knows the club through thick and thin because he was a player for Man United for 2 decades. Solskjaer is set to have his final say on our transfer incoming deals. It did say, didn't it, that we're set for a transfer summit this week. You know, Solskjaer's going to sit down with John Turfmer and Darren Fletcher to discuss our transfer targets and to discuss our transfer plans in general. But Woodward recently did a statement, didn't he, don't forget? And he said the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear, so in that aspect he's backing Ole. Like I've said, the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've also overpaid for players and the managers that we've had haven't got the players they wanted to recommend in. But Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ole, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. And even enjoying them bad periods, Woodward come out several times to assure that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job was safe. Solskjaer said earlier on this season it may not be business as usual in the summer transfer window due to the pandemic, but he said he's interested in bringing in players that will be a perfect fit for the club. I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. Been a lot of players on our agenda. Now I recently give you the news on Nikola Milenkovic. Now Man United have opened up transfer talks with Fiorentina over Nikola Milenkovic. And it says Man United are the clear favourites to sign the Fiorentina defender. He's valued at £30 million. It also mentions that Liverpool are interested. And apparently Nikola Milenkovic is already packing his bags. For a move to the Premier League, and he's turned down a new contract at Fiorentina. Fiorentina got him in 2017 from Partizan. They paid just £5 million for him, and he's got a contract with Fiorentina until 2022. He can play as a centre-back and a right-back. So would you take Nikola Milenkovic at Manchester United? Now, you obviously know the news on Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. Erling Haaland is demanding wages of £350,000 a week from another club. Now, Erling Haaland is our centre-forward transfer priority. Borussia Dortmund have given us an update on Erling Haaland's future. Borussia Dortmund's sporting director Michael Zorg says Dortmund are prioritising finishing in the top 4 in order to keep Erling Haaland. But I'd certainly take him at Man United because Erling Haaland is a very good player. He's only young and he's got a lot of development in him. And he would assure his goals, definitely. Since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. Scored goals for fun. You know, Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he has got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. I think Dortmund are demanding in the excess of £100 million. He does have a release clause, but that doesn't become active until next year. But there's been a lot of clubs in for him. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that he's following Erling Haaland's progress. And he did say that he's keeping in touch with him. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Obviously, there's been narratives coming out regarding Pau Torres from Villarreal. Now, according to ESPN, Pau Torres has emerged as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's top target, and it says we can get Pau Torres for less than his £56 million release clause if Villarreal fail to qualify for Europe. Man United have been in contact with Villarreal over Pau Torres. Jules Koundé, you know, there's been more narratives coming out about him. So yeah, and obviously we are going to sell players in the summer transfer window. You know, in that aspect it will generate money and it will help us with our rebuilding process. He recently said Solskjaer is planning to sell 4 players to bolster our transfer budget, and he hopes to raise as much as £60 million. But yeah, so far, Solskjaer has spent almost £300 at Man United. He's made some good signings, and he's enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Like I said in regards to Solskjaer, he must win a trophy at Man United this year. Because that marks progress. So I'm saying the exact same thing as what Gary Neville recently said. Solskjaer's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager, and we haven't won a trophy since 2017. You know, Solskjaer's been Man United manager over 2 years. Reflecting how long he's been at the club, he's gained some managerial experience and he's learned quite a bit on the job. But there's a lot of United fans that have been demanding Ole out. Maybe there's still some Man United fans that are Ole in. He's being criticised a lot as well as Man United manager, but there is main explanations behind it. I don't see us winning the Premier League title for another 3 or 4 years at least. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. You know, I think we did give Solskjaer the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that season to decide or not whether to give him the job. But we give him the job permanently because he did very, very well, didn't he, as the interim manager in that 3-month period. We appointed Ole in December 2018 to replace Jose Mourinho. We've had some very, very good periods under him where we have seen consistency, where he has got the best out of the team and he has improved certain players, but we've also enjoyed very bad periods under him where you can turn around and say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. But with Solskjaer being a club legend, our board have a soft stance on him. If disregarding being a club legend, you could probably say he wouldn't have been Manchester United manager now. So anyway guys, that's everything to update with today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.